Here's one of the most famous images in movie history. The final shot of The Searchers. It's a wide shot. Characters enter the house while Ethan, the protagonist, stands in the doorway. By staying in a wide, John Ford illustrates the central theme of the film, that Ethan and his ideals are incompatible with the rest of society, and so he remains outside of the homestead. And of course, the wide angle allows for the doorway to frame Ethan, creating an unforgettable composition. We often think that close-ups are what pack a dramatic punch, but use a wide shot just right, and it can do more than any other shot size. This is the ultimate guide to wide shots. First, let's get definitions out of the way. A wide shot, sometimes also dubbed a long shot, captures the entirety of a subject, plus a good amount of their surroundings. As with all shot sizes, different people have different answers when it comes to the line between a medium wide and a wide, or a wide and an extreme wide. But at its core, a wide shot can serve a multitude of purposes, emphasizing character relationships, building tension, immersing the audience in space, clarifying blocking, and isolating characters. In other words, if close-up and medium shots are indeed about emotion, then wide shots are about ideas. For example, a close-up may emphasize that a character feels lonely, but a wide shot can show us on a larger scale the idea of their loneliness. This might be why in the edit we often hold longer on wide shots, letting the viewer take in the visual information being provided and interpret the idea it is creating. A wide shot's function depends on how it is set up and what happens within the frame. But a great wide shot uses its distance to its advantage, giving the audience visual information they couldn't have gotten in any other frame.
Kicking up on!
As we've alluded to, one of the most unique elements of a wide shot is that it emphasizes space. This means that setting and production design are crucial to a wide success. A character's surroundings may be chaotic and busy, giving the viewer a visual feast to dissect. The production design in this shot from nowhere externalizes the chaos inside the character's head. Or a setting can be sparse. In Badlands, Terrence Malick uses the empty expanse to both draw our eye to the subject and highlight his lone wolf status. A production designer may work to further underscore the expansiveness of a specific wide shot. Take this visual from A Matter of Life and Death. The way the circular openings are patterned suggests that this setting goes on and on forever. A fitting feeling if you're trying to create a visual representation for heaven. A wide shot in conjunction with a careful production design can also deliver a lot of information about a character. Take this shot from Good Will Hunting. What can we learn from the sparse decorations, the scattered books, the mattress on the floor? This is someone who is just barely getting by and has no time or interest in setting up a comfortable home. If this were a series of inserts, it wouldn't have the same effect. It would hammer the point home too overtly, while also not firmly situating Will in the space. This shot from the Hurt Locker is equally informative. The rows of cereal are colourful and endless. William has returned to the consumerist America he fought for overseas, but now it feels overwhelming and alienating. The wide angle makes William feel smaller and more alone, drowning in a sea of mundanity. Of course, production design and setting can also assist in directing our attention. One of the most common ways to do this is creating frames within frames, such as doorways or windows, which frame a character and single them out for a viewer. And speaking of framing, How a wide shot is composed is vital to how an audience interprets story, theme, and character. By its very nature, a wide shot allows for lots of negative space. In horror movies, this space can be used for tension, as we strain our eyes to see what may be lurking in the corner of the frame. But negative space can also be used to emphasize loneliness, such as in this frame from Foxcatcher. Giving lots of space behind the character also adds to the feeling of entrapment. Negative space can also direct attention. Here, the tunnel directs our eye to the subjects along with the leading lines of the rails. Where a subject is placed in a frame can also inform the idea the wide is creating. In this early scene from The Killer, the protagonist is placed in the center of the frame to underscore his sense of control. Everything is carefully prepared. Place a subject off to the side and you can emphasize their environment. In this shot from Playtime, the character is almost subsumed by the sprawling office in front of him. He is not in control. On the other hand, a subject at the top of the frame can give them a sense of power, like in this early shot in A Clockwork Orange, where their shadows give them even more size in the frame. Camera angle too affects the frame. A high angle can give us a unique bird's eye view, while a low angle can ground us more with a character. When there are multiple subjects in a frame, a filmmaker needs to decide how to balance the viewer's attention. If they're clustered together, like in A Clockwork Orange, our attention doesn't need to be split. Alternatively, you can use the rule of thirds to your advantage, placing one character on one division line and another on the other. Aspect ratio is another important variable when framing a wide. Ratios like 4:3 or 1:1 encourage a verticality in long shots, emphasizing height and vertical movement. Wider aspect ratios are great for expansive landscapes, which is why the widescreen wide shot is so often associated with westerns. Perhaps more than any other shot size, the wide shot is greatly affected by lens choice. A wide-angle lens, for instance, can bring out the depth of a composition. Take this shot from Portrait of a Lady on Fire, where the wide lens immerses the subject in the coastline, which stretches out far into the distance. Choose a wide enough lens, and you can also begin to utilize the distortion created at its edges. In this shot from No Time to Die, the wide-angle lens distorts the trees surrounding the frame, making the trunks operate as leading lines, all pointing to the subject. A longer lens, meanwhile, crushes perspective. This can underscore the busyness of a frame, make elements in the background feel more present, or create a feeling of claustrophobia, as though the setting is crowding the subject. Like with any shot size, lighting is vital in coloring how the audience reads a scene. In a wide shot, it can be difficult to have as much control over lighting as you might in a close-up. But lighting in a wide can also be more complex, and in some ways, more telling. Often, cinematographers will rely on practicals, lights in the frame, for wide shots. This shot in Punch Drunk Love, for example, is lit primarily by overhead fluorescence, making the frame feel sterile and cold. Natural light, of course, can also be useful. In Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind, an overcast sky is used as the primary light in an interior shot, giving it a soft, cold feel. In a wide, light can be an important factor in telling an audience where to look. As a general rule of thumb, our eye goes to where there is more light. Carefully shaped light can also add texture to a wide, But a less direct light that blankets most of a shot can also be useful if you want to highlight the set surrounding the characters as well. In this shot from Holy Mountain, a diffused light lets us see everything clearly, while a slightly stronger overhead light draws our eye to the subjects. Almost all great wide shots utilize great blocking.
Boy, I bet you we could really have a good party in this room, huh?
Wide shots show character movement more clearly than any other shot. We may not be able to see facial expressions, but we can see where characters are in relation to each other and how they move. Most obviously, a wide shot is great for capturing the movement of lots of characters. Akira Kurosawa was the master of this kind of wide when filming battle scenes, using long shots to depict different armies clashing almost like waves. Most commonly, wide shots are used for spatial clarity. In this action sequence from Skyfall, for example, we cut out to a wide every few seconds so that the audience knows where each character is. But blocking in wides can do much more than that. Take this shot from The Graduate. Benjamin floats in the foreground while his parents stand over him in the background. The idea is clearly laid out with this simple blocking. Benjamin is aimlessly floating through light, while his parents hover around, worrying about him. Or this shot from Night of the Hunter. The preacher looms over the children. He is a clear and impending threat.
What's taking you so long about it?
Nothing!
In this wide from Lawrence of Arabia, blocking creates intrigue. A figure is approaching the camera, but we can't quite make out who. Clarity of movement is also why wides are great for physical comedy. Charlie Chaplin, for example, would almost always play his bits in wide spaces since physicality was what was important rather than facial expressions. Of course, blocking works in tandem with camera movement. A tracking wide, for example, can heighten the drama of a character running. A drone shot, meanwhile, can emphasize scale, like this soaring wide from Dune Part 2. Camera movement can also take us in and out of wides. This shot from Mission Impossible Fallout starts as a medium, and then expands into a wide as the camera moves farther away from the subject. This makes the jump feel all the more thrilling. A move can help direct an audience's attention. This zoom in Three Women has us focus on Pinky, and then gradually shift to both her and Millie.
Say, would you check my glands for me?
What?
My neck glands.
The wide shot isn't just an establishing setup to get out of the way before the real work begins. It can be vital in delivering big ideas to an audience, revealing relationships, immersing us in worlds, and much more. Plan your next wide with StudioBinder's storyboard and shot list software. Until next time, don't forget, sometimes you just need to take a step back.
Why is Private Pyle out of his bunk after lights out?